How would you describe this moment of European Union, considering situation in the world from United States to Russia?
Well, it's sadly again one of the historic moments. We had in recent history too many of those, I have to say. The start of the full-scale invasion into Ukraine, energy crisis, the COVID, just to name the few over the last 5 years. But that is the world we live in, we have to admit openly. And it's not going to get easier. And that's why I'm really believe and I'm convinced that what we need is a stronger, more united union to benefit.
Do you think it's possible?
I believe it's possible, yes. No one said it's going to be easy. No one said it's going to be walk in the park. The pressures and forces that Europe stands against, that want to destroy the European way of life, are incredible. Honestly, when you see on one side of the Europe, Putin regime killing innocent Ukrainians and threatening essentially a full-scale invasion of Europe. And on the other side, you see the representatives of the current American administration, who we used to rely on since the Second World War, supporting, very openly supporting, what I would dare to call the regime change in Europe, saying that, you know, oh, we are basically against the freedom of speech because, yes, we don't elect the extremists, while at the same time, the American administration is banning people from entering the US for their opinions and is using ICE to basically just almost kidnap people, I would say that. So, no, it is really crucial for Europe to stand on its own, to be really strong and to be able to take care of itself.
How do you think the summer will end, considering trade agreements or without trade agreements with the United States, and what it will mean for Europe?
I don't have a clue, honestly, because if you would ask me, you know, with more over a half a year ago, no one would even predict this. I believe here again it shows how important it is for us that we stand and negotiate united, because alone we would fall. It shows how important it is for Europe to be open to fair trade deals with all the other parts of the world. I'm meeting regularly, for example, representatives from Asian countries, because it's part of my portfolio, and they're under the same pressure. And what they seek is a reliable partner. And sadly, I have to say very sadly, United States, for them, according to themselves, it's not a reliable partner anymore.
Do you think that it is possible to have in a year and a half, something what some journalists are already calling a new World Trade Organization with Pacific partners and not necessarily with the United States? And that is something what is now openly presented even here in Strasbourg and in Brussels as an option.
It is an open option, but I have to say what we also see is quite a push by a number of the countries for a certain level of protectionism. And there is a reason for it. What we learned from the COVID pandemics is that, yes, when it comes to the times of crisis, you have to rely on yourself. And I think this is where the new balance is shifting from kind of, oh, let's just open up the trade barriers, to trying to find a careful balance between the individual interests and concerns. And let's be honest, this is how the economies historically of Europe, of the Asian tigers, of US, of China have grown and are really fostering a just and free international trade. And I think this is going to be the careful balancing. But indeed, if WTO is not working, we should be open to all possibilities.
Several days ago, or week and a half ago, NATO summit in Hague finished with this 5% agreement. This 5%, is this time buying payment? Is this the beginning of the wars with United States withdrawing their army from Europe? And could it put into the jeopardy economies of European countries?
I don't look at it from the perspective of a single number. Honestly, this is not the crucial point. And this is, even if we would say that we spend 5% and it's not going to be any dual use, just purely equipment, it doesn't guarantee us the outcomes that we know. The challenge we face is more complex, and that's where the answer has to be more complex. First of all, yes, Europe needs to be able to stand up on its own. We are, honestly, in terms of people, larger than the United States. Ukraine is very close to us and actually has the most up-to-date combat experience, sadly so. Everybody hopes they would never have to face that, but Putin's regime decided to start murdering on a large scale. And I think this is where it's time for us to take the responsibility on our own. And it doesn't mean not collaborating very closely. The closest allies we United States, but it means that we should be able to also stand on our own if needed. Second, this means that we should work better together. The number of different systems that we have in the military, the complexities that we created for ourselves is actually similar to the challenges that we face in economy and single market, because we are saying, the Trump barriers. The barriers that we have within Europe on trade, according to the IMF data, equal 40% tariffs on goods and 120% tariffs on services. This is not a single market. This is something where not Brussels, not the European Union, member states themselves are putting massive barriers in front of the small and medium enterprises, in front of the innovation, in front of the clean tech transformation. And equally, going back to the military, we need to work better in the defense sector because it's going to be costing us less if we do so.
You mentioned several times already, together, stronger. What is necessary for European Union to be stronger, to work better together? Do you think that is just efficiency, or do you think that we are also, or will be forced to change Lisbon agreements?
I am not a fan of big statements because it will be very easy. We have to update the treaties, and because of the democratic nature of European Union, updating the treaties is way more complex than you would have amending the US Constitution, because we are a different beast. So the time certainly will come when, in some future we'll have to do that. But I think there is a really big space for improvement the way we work as a union, the way we work between the institutions, so the Commission, the Council, and the Parliament, the way there is an interaction also with the member states, and making sure that the member states actually follow up on what we agreed on together to make us work better and be stronger together. This is something where, if you are in a club, and you should follow the rules, and the rules need to be enforced.
Delicate times, many challenges. Do you think that the European Commission at this moment is reacting as it should?
But it can be better.
In which way?
Very frankly,
How?
I believe it can be better, the reaction from the Commission. I would expect the Commission to be bolder in terms of pushing things forward. I would expect the Commission to be bolder towards the member states in terms of enforcing legislation, actually pushing the member states, for example, on the single market. We want a stronger economy. Why are we not removing the obstacles that we created? But I also appreciate a number of the steps in the new Commission plan. What I expect to see is their delivery. There's been a bit of a delay, and I hope that this is something where we will see Commission catching up.
Voting about Ursula von der Leyen in the parliament. How do you see this move by ECR or right-wing groups and politicians here in the parliament? Their official reason is Pfizer affair, but is there something else also behind?
No, it's a theater. It's of course a theater. If you read it, it's not only the accusations around the Pfizergate, where, yes, I myself called for increased transparency, not only of the Commission, but also of the Council and the procedures around the decision-making since I came in 2019. And actually, it's a Council and Member States that block lots of the things. But what they allege, the contracts have been signed and vetted and checked by the Member States. So basically, they imply that either all the governments were part of the conspiracy, hence, so Viktor Orban is part of the conspiracy? I'm just checking, maybe they somehow miss it. Because, yes, they also, Viktor Orban's government checked the contract they allege were corrupt and signed the contract. So maybe we have something to find out. No, I'm ironic. The second thing is they are basically almost, I would say, going against the recovery and resilience facility, which is really important in reviving Europe's economy. They are accusing Commission. It's basically a grievance list, and I would dare to say primarily an effort to get some revenge for the Romanian presidential elections.
But the opportunity was used also by Renew Group and by S&D Group to remind Ursula von der Leyen that not everybody are satisfied with the way she is running Commission.
Well, this is obviously something that, when you can sit down and look back after, coincidentally, a year in the office, I think it's always good to have a very frank and open discussion and talk about what can be improved and made better.
Do you think that she will listen, that she will be ready to improve?
I very much expect so. I think this is something which, from those groups, and Renew is one of those groups, which supported not just her nomination for the President of the Commission, but this is, for me, not about her. This is about the delivery of the entire Commission also. But yes, she as a President has most of the power and has most of the responsibility to make sure that she delivers and the entire Commission delivers on what was agreed when we gave them the confidence.
Many your colleagues from your group, but also from Social Democrats, are not happy with the fact that this Commission or this EPP group in this sitting is ready to negotiate with different partners in different occasions when they are seeking for best solution for them. We saw situations in which they openly made agreements with right-wing populists. How do you find that strategy?
Well, this is something which I would say is a specific problem of the EPP group in the European Parliament. And yes, there have been several cases which we are very critical of, where not only on the level of the plenaries of the entire, but even worryingly on the committee level. So when there are early stages of discussions about the legislative proposals, for example, where EPP sought the support of the extreme right, and it concerns especially areas about the civil liberties, around civil society, around environment, even, I would say, gender equality, which is for me a very big concern, and I'm very sad about it, because I think this is something which undermines not only Europe, undermines EPP, undermines their own strength, because it's a situation where basically by giving in to the extremes, you are weakening yourself, because yes, people then see that, okay, there's nothing problematic with, the fascists. And I honestly believe, as someone whose grandfather has been through a concentration camp, there is something wrong with fascists.
But does it mean that you don't expect improvement or changing from Ursula von der Leyen, but also from EPP leadership here in the parliament, from Mr. Weber and his approach to European politics?
Definitely. That's where we are in a constant contact with EPP, are discussing things with them and trying to work out how we can, so to say, build the bridges, especially between EPP and SND. Because yes, these are the two parties which are, so to say, the biggest players on the both sides. We as a Renew are in between, and we're trying to help to facilitate, acknowledging, yes, EPP is bigger, and they essentially have the largest group in this parliament. But I believe that, it's not big enough to be a one-party ruling. This is where I strongly believe and convinced that the best thing for people, best thing for Europe and for our future is to work around the center. And not easily. There's been always a really tough job. But it's always been a strength of Europe. Look and find the compromises around the center and not push it to the extremes on either side.
But you said that EPP is weakening themselves, but there is maybe even a majority inside EPP which would be happier with a long-term cooperation with parties who are on the right from them.
I don't believe so. And I can tell you examples. Romania. It was the ECR that basically went against also EPP in the presidential race. Poland, against ECR representatives, and those which in both countries co-sign now the motion for censure. It is a situation where AfD in Germany, so what you're saying means that the German Christian Democrats would be keen to go with AfD. I very much hope and believe that that's not the case and never will be. And this is where, yes, it's tougher. And yes, we have to be able to deliver better for the people. But yes, this is the main way forward. And basically, tolerance towards the extremes is what we saw 100 years ago bring about a big catastrophe in Europe. And that's, I think, we never should repeat.
You're coming from Slovakia, and you have now political challenges in your own country. Your prime minister gave a statement several weeks ago, almost challenging democracy.
Not almost. Our prime minister gave statement where, and he is self-declared social democrat, that is a big fan of Putin's regime. He's a vice party member and a member of European Parliament here. Vice party president and member of the European Parliament here has recently, in this first half year, met with the boss of Russian Secret Service in Moscow. Like, there are really big concerns, even I would say, for integrity there. He's made statements where he praised authoritarian regime, where he praised countries and kind of regimes that don't allow democratic competition in elections. And of course, this is a big concern. But at the same time, I have to tell you, I believe that in some ways, and I'm not downplaying these concerns, because what they're doing, and I have to be very clear, what you see in Slovakia is a big concern, because it can, with the Fico government, really lead to, their effort to lead to taking out of Slovakia out of NATO and EU as well, because they're questioning also EU and kind of Slovakia's future in the EU. But what we should not forget in the background, that all these statements are happening against the background where Slovakia's economy is crumbling. Our hospitals are in a really horrible state. Our young generation is just deserting the country for a better life abroad. Our economy, the deficit, they put together a consolidation package which massively affected ordinary people to to cut on the deficit. You know what's the result a year later? Well, 9 months later, a bigger deficit. So the second package, which was planned, will have to be even bigger and harsher. They are deterring, with exactly statements like this, they are deterring foreign investors. In my important field, the environment, basically instead of allowing people and businesses to fully use the opportunities of developing renewable energy and using the renewable energy, which would lower the prices of energy and lower dependence on especially Russia, they put obstacles in the way to maintain these dependencies. So, yes, they are massively mismanaging the country. They are hurting people's well-being, and it is quite handy at such a moment to talk about, the China model or Vietnam model are so great for Slovakia. They're not. I disagree there. Or we need to now recently, build the wall against progressivism.
Are you satisfied with the rule of law report on Slovakia? I heard yesterday from many people here and thinking that Commission was not clear or strong enough about situation in their countries. Mm-hmm. Considering Slovakia, the independence of judges is mentioned, also together with security of journalists working their job. Do you think that it is targeting some of the key issues in your country?
Oh, there are a number of issues. It's very well known, starting from the revision of the penal code in the way it was done, the impacts of this revision on the fundamentals of the rule of law, and the pressure on the media, the targeted attacks on the journalists, verbal ones by the top-ranked politicians, the number of attacks on the journalists have increased. The media freedom is openly challenged. The changes that's been happening in the Slovak media, especially the public broadcasters, are very detrimental. And I think the attack on a civil society, it's really incredible. So I can go on and on and on, not assessing the rule of law by report by the Commission, but simply from experience and following and being engaged in what's going on in my homeland. It's a really sad situation and something where I believe we will manage to stop and go back to normal democratic processes.
Last question. Considering yours and our neighbors, Hungary, now we are almost used to situation to have statement of 26 instead of consensus decision on the European Council. What do you think will be perspective of Hungary with Viktor Orban inside the EU?
I really hope, and I wish the opposition good luck, that next year's election will see a change in the Hungarian government.
And if not?
Then we'll have to see. This is something which, I don't like to predict things because in today's world, the predictions are always tricky.
For the end, when do you think or when do you hope we will see the first sign for which you will be able to say this is the stronger European Union working more efficiently together? Can we expect soon some sign of that change?
That's a good one. For me, one of the important thing is not to see one big sign. The real change actually happens in lots of the small things. Because you can say, okay, the big important sign is we're gonna have a defense fund, 800 billion. But actually, as in everyday life, what matters are all the small details. And yes, for your marriage, it's important when, you get married or have a child or have something important binds you together. but the duration doesn't depend on it. The fact if you get your relationship stronger depends on everyday actions, the kindness, the understanding, and building it together to be stronger. And I think this is what is crucial for the European Union.
Mr. Hojsík, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you again. It was a pleasure.